Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to talk to you about lumberjacking. A lumberjack is a great source of income if you're new to Outlands, or even if you've been on Outlands and just are tired of in dungeon farming because those PKs get to you. He has a low startup cost initially. He starts off with like 5 hatchets if you start him off with 50 lumberjacking in character creation, and then from there, hatchets, just baseline hatchets, are 25 gold, which isn't that much considering you can sell each board to a vendor for 3 gold, or if you get a stack, you can sell them to players for a minimum of 11 gold per board, meaning a commodity, which is 5,000 boards, minimum starts off at 55k. 55,000 gold just for one stack of lumber. And Discord always has people looking to buy wood. The color wood, of course, is going to be worth more, and those stacks, the commodity deeds, are only 2,500. Easier to fill up, but harder to find. But once you get the colored wood, you get big money for selling them, especially if you get to Everword, which we'll come to later. Now let's get into the build real fast. We start off with 80 healing, 80 anatomy. The anatomy is so that you can cure, as well as bigger bandages. Healing, of course, so that you can bandage. I run 100 in stamina, that way I only have 10-second bandages. Eventually, you'll move your lumberjacking up to 120 to get the Everwood, the purple wood, the most sought after because it's the best that you can craft with. But starting out, that's not necessary. You'll get gold wood with 100 lumberjacking. I believe you even get some Verwood with 100. Like, you can still earn good money on colored wood just with 100 lumberjacking, but eventually you'll want to move up to 120 to get the best. You have 80 in resist spells. That's just if a PK shows up and starts casting spells on you, they hit you less. Come on, every build needs some resists. Next, we'll talk about last thing that's mandatory, in my opinion, tracking. You have to have tracking so you know when the PKs show up. But don't forget to turn tracking on. 100 steps warning, great. Forgetting to turn it on, and no steps warning, bad. You can also, with tracking and a rune book, you can just auto cast recall, build it into your script so that if it tracks something, you automatically recall away. Now, if a thief steals from you, then it'll pop up now tracking, and when you recall away, you'll lose the thief. So that's why I personally don't run an auto recall, because I don't want to lose any wood to thieves. It's also why I personally watch my character as he lumberjacks. Then also the optional things. You can run magery so that you can just recall out, no problem. I run swords and tactics, that way I can fight back versus the PK. Because I just don't like running away, but running away is an option. I also run camping so that I can fill up a lot more backpack and have a lot more for the time I am out. running around. Now, the macro you see on the screen doesn't include that auto recall macro that you want to run if you just want to get out, you don't want to mess with the PK. It's not included, but it's easy enough to find on the internet or just build in yourself. Now let's talk about the actual harvesting. Personally, I walk around and manage my guy. Let's find a spot to start with. Yeah, a recapture will show up your first time. Just type it in real fast, hit OK, and then start your chopping script. The one on screen, like I said, works well, but you have to manually move your guy. But good overhead messages, and if your tool breaks, it'll auto put another one on there. So that's a bonus of this script. And I like to do least amount of possible on this idle work that I can. And if a PK shows up, I'm already looking at the screen ready to either run away, fight. It's just better to not run it just scripting through. But there are macros out there that will move for you and do everything for you. You just have to stop it at the recapture, type in the recapture, and go on. I personally don't like doing that. I like being attentive to the character and actual play the game as opposed to just idle money. But to each their own. The location of harvesting doesn't matter. Some people may tell you that it does, but on the wiki it says it doesn't matter where you harvest. You get the same chance for Averwood that right outside of town here as you would deep in the forest. Doesn't matter if you're here or here. Same chance of wood that you'd have right here. So be safer. Now, you'll run into a lot less people out in the wilderness, but you'll be safer farming close to town. It's your own option, but like I said, here's the way to go. Now, if by chance a PK does come and you're around Cambria, a little tip: you just run onto this island, run around here, wait for the world save, running around here, run around, and then here, nice little guard zone outside of town. I've tricked quite a few PKs into coming in to this town and guard whack. As you can see, I highlighted it there. 2 entrances. What easy to get around. It's a lot easier to get to that guard zone if you're on this left side than it is to get to this one, because they're going to Wall of Stone and then you can't get into town. It's happened to me before, lost stuff because of that Wall of Stone. That's when I discovered that little guard zone over there. Again, great place to kill PKs. Just lure them in, laugh at them a little bit, and they'll charge right at you. Works every time. Now, it's also important, I don't know if you noticed this, but when I initially went to that guard zone, you need to have something that breaks your chopping scripts. But also, I recommend a script breaker like an adventurer's rope, because that way if a PK just shows up now while I'm chopping, I can break the macro, hop the river, be in a guard zone before they know it. Or if they come up on me faster and he hamstrings me, I already do have this adventurer's rope, so the second he hamstrings me, I just port away and then run away. If the PK has poor reflexes, bad PK, then you're scot-free, because he'll be back here chasing you while you're already in town. Now, again, doesn't work 100% of the time. I also recommend, personally, that when you see the PK, the now tracking, you just chug a strength pot, start a bandage, drink a health pot. That way you're full health when they come, and within 10 seconds you have another heal, so once their initial damage hits, you're already healed and it's gonna heal you again. Full health, stay healthy, means you can turn on the PK. Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like when PKs aren't showing up to show you how it's done today, but PKs do check, and they check often. So just be mindful, especially around Cambria. Quite a few PKs live around this area. Grape soda will PK you. I don't know how often he does run through, but I know I see him quite often. He's one of the biggest PKs I've seen in this area. Also, Rasta Brava, he isn't as good as grape soda, but he will still burst you down. So have strength pots ready, health pots ready, and be ready to run or fight back if that's what you so choose to do. Now, personally, I run studded armor because plate armor weighs more, so less wood, and they mind blast you to death. With studded armor, they can't mind blast you to death because it does like 20. Your bandage will tick before their before their mind blast can kill you. 5 mind blasts, bandage, you're gonna heal through it. I mean, you're gonna get your heal off before any more the mind blast can kill you. Especially if they switch to like a magic arrow, because they're going to chuck the first magic arrow when you're at like 20, and then your bandage is gonna pop, and then you're gonna be back at 70. So studded armor is what I recommend. And then if they're a melee PK, if they're trying to whack you down, the studded armor gives you enough defense that it doesn't feel that heavy of damage being put out to you. Easily lets you get away or fight back. If you are going to fight back, I also recommend carrying explosion potions, because the explosion potions, what they'll do is while you're running around running next to them, hitting them, trying to get that last hit and can't quite get it, the 20 damage of explosion pot comes in very handy. Also, if you run out of trap pouches, explosion potion can get you out of the paralyzed. Granted, it does a lot more damage, but you don't even have to throw the explosion potion when running next to him. Just hit your little button, which I forget what it is on this character at the moment, but you just hit it and just run next to him. You'll explode, but so will they. 21 damage. If you're trying to get that last hit, that PK is dead. You got whatever they stole from other people. And I don't know if you noticed this, but another nifty macro to have is that trapped pouch macro. Just macro, something that's handy, I use 6, say open bracket pouch, and then you have a nice little thing. You need to have trap pouches and you need to have a macro for them, otherwise a PK will get you. Grape soda is great about the paralyzed one shot. Won't even see it coming. You can buy trap pouches from any mage. They're not that expensive and they will save your life one day. And like I said, it's just open bracket, trap pouch. And that's all I have for y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope I taught you something about lumberjacking. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions for a next video or any tips for this video. Thank you for your time. See ya.